All right, so Gemini 3 is out, and when I was doing research for Gemini 3 and how to use it, right, inside Google AI Studio, I came across Google Antigravity. Now, I haven't heard anyone talk about this. It was released 2 hours ago. The website doesn't even have a favicon loaded on Google search. So we're going to look at what Google Antigravity is, what it does, how it works, and everything in between. Now, before we even begin exploring Google Antigravity, I want to go over the pricing section because that's what a lot of people are curious about. Now, here's the thing. Because this is still a new product, Google wants to have more users. It is completely free right now. This is why you need to pay attention to this video because you need to make the most of this tool while you can, right? So what exactly is Google Antigravity and how does it work? Let's explore some use cases first. The first one is professional, right? It's like a full AI IDE, kind of like Cursor, Windsurf, you name them, they keep coming out like it's, holy. You can do front end with this. Now I know Gemini 3 is crazy with front end based on all the tests that we have seen. So we're going to be testing Antigravity to see how well it can do in a real use case scenario. And the other thing is full stack. Now this is something I really want to go deep on because a lot of the IDEs can generate, Claude can generate a decent front end, but it can't fully integrate, for example, Python or a API backend with it. So the fact that this can do both front end and full stack is insane. So we're going to be testing a lot of these things, but let's start with the professional use case. Like, what can you actually do with the professional side of things? Now, here's what professional developers choose, right? You have an editor, background agents, code-based understanding, basic stuff. But here's where it changes. It's the same editor that we all know, but it has optimizations for context switching. It's built for trust. I don't know what that means. Going from 90 to 100, don't know what that means. Again, all these claims are very vague, right? So that's what this video is about. We want to test what each of these use cases does. Same thing here. Like, it's very vague on what it does, right? They don't tell us too much. So how do you go about installing this? Now, just obviously click on the platform you have and just install it like a normal human being. Okay, so once this is done installing, just launch it. Again, it's very basic. Just click on launch. It's nothing hard. Once it launches, allow the firewall. And let's get through this setup. It looks pretty much like how the Cursor IDE was, but let's see what's different. Yeah, so I thought. It literally looks like a Visual Studio 4. So how do you want to use Antigravity? Agent-driven development, agent-assisted development, never request for review, review-driven. Like, this is interesting. Terminal execution, turbo, of course. Always proceed. Key bindings, again, I don't really care too much about this. It is what it is. And then you have to sign in with Google. So now that you have Antigravity opened up and installed, here's a quick overview. First, it looks exactly like a fork of VS Code, Cursor, Windsurf, you name it, exactly the same. On the right-hand side, same thing. You have a chat window, you have planning, just a quick respond, add context. But you have Gemini 3 Pro High, Gemini 3 Pro Low, along with the basic models, which are probably obsolete by now because of Gemini 3. So we're going to use Gemini 3 Pro High, and we're going to make an app. What app are we going to make? Well, I had this idea. So on Reddit, I've seen this trend where people post apps where they make an idea validator. I'm sure you've seen this before as well. We're going to do the same thing. If they can make millions, why can we not? Right? So I asked AI, ChatGPT. Now, I use ChatGPT from prompting because I'm really, really bad with prompting. I'm pretty sure a lot of you do as well. So this is how you would approach this. And that's how I am approaching it for a real world use case scenario. So I gave it the idea. I told it to give me a prompt. I'm going to copy this prompt and just literally paste it here. And we're going to see what this does, okay? So again, the entire app idea is the idea checker, right? YC Combinator style startup using Gemini 3. Let's see what it actually does. So the thinking is the same, right? So it starts designing it, developing the idea, core features, project initialization, pretty much everything that a normal IDE would do for you. Now, I do see a tasks.md file, which is nice. It has kind of some sort of structure. So you can comment on artifacts. That's pretty cool. Interesting. So you can just, this is cool. So you have your implementation plans. You can comment, make changes. You have your PRD. Again, everyone knows what this is. It looks good. So let's just do proceed. Now, I do see that you might need like Supabase APIs, but we're going to try do it without it. That is insane. I barely gave it a prompt and it said model quota limit exceeded. You have reached the quota for this model. So it's not really like it does the whole thing for you. It's quite literally like your coding assistant. So I don't know what all this hype was for. Or like all this, where it does things for you, experience the liftoff of the next gen IDE. I think all this is very early stages. Now, the fact that it wasn't even able to initialize, literally create app Next.js, it wasn't able to do that, and it reached its limit. That says a lot. This is way too early right now, but we're going to be testing this more intensively in the coming videos. So make sure you subscribe. And if you have any ideas that you want me to run through this, let me know. We're going to try and do it together, see what we can achieve with this new tool. But for now, I think this is very unpolished, unless I'm just a baboon and I'm using this wrong. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching.